The path to wealth in the stock market is a journey through 3 distinct territories, and most men perish in the first because they are staring at a map of the third. They dream of the day they will make $1 million in a single move, yet they haven't learned the simple, brutal art of not losing their first 1,000. They want the glory of the final charge without surviving the initial skirmish. This is the great filter that separates the professional from the permanent amateur. The market does not care for your ambition or your dreams. It is a cold, mathematical machine that rewards process and punishes impatience. You do not get to choose the stage you are in. The market assigns it to you based on the size of your account and the consistency of your discipline. The first stage is a test of survival. The second is a test of character. Only the third offers the prize. The first stage is survival. Your only objective is to learn the game without losing your seat at the table. When I first began as a boy in the bucket shops, establishments that took bets on stock prices, much like a modern spread betting firm, I thought I had mastered the market. I kept a little book recording the movements of the ticker, which was the live feed of stock prices. I wasn't gambling, I was calculating. I saw the patterns, the repetition in the numbers. I learned to read the tape. And I was successful. I made my first $1,000 before I was a man. But I lost it. I made $10,000 and I lost that too. I went broke several times over. Why? Because I had learned how to be right, but I had not learned how to handle being wrong. I thought the game was about making brilliant predictions. It is not. The game is about capital preservation. Your first stake is your tuition fee for an education you cannot get at any university. Every dollar you lose should purchase a priceless lesson in what not to do again. If you lose your entire stake without learning anything, you have not only failed, you have wasted your education. I chronicled these brutal early lessons in my biography, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. If you wish to learn from my mistakes instead of paying for them with your own money, the link is in the description of this video. In this first stage, you are not a speculator. You are a student. You must trade small, so small that the losses are emotionally insignificant. Your goal is not to grow your account, but to grow your knowledge. You must study the behavior of stocks, the way they move in groups, the way volume confirms a price move. You must learn the one great truth of the market. It is never wrong. Opinions are. Your job is to align yourself with the market, not to argue with it. A man must believe in himself and his judgment if he expects to make a living at this game. That is why I don't believe in tips. But your judgment is worthless if it is not backed by the discipline to survive its inevitable flaws. In this stage, you will be tempted by hope, thinking a losing position will come back. You will be paralyzed by fear, cutting a winning position too soon. These are the twin executioners of the novice. Your task is to build a defense against your own human nature. The greatest enemy of a speculator is the enemy within. The foundational law of stage 1 is this. Your primary function is not to make a profit, but to survive. You must treat your initial capital as the price of admission to the world's most expensive school. Protect it with your life. Analyze every loss until it reveals its lesson, and your only measure of success is ending the week with enough capital to trade the next. Your bankroll is your ammunition, and you cannot win the war if you fire it all away in the first battle. Stay in the game. That is the only victory that matters at the beginning. The second stage is consistency. If you have survived the first, you have paid your tuition. You have the scars to prove it. You have learned what not to do. Now you must learn what to do, over and over, like a machine. This is the stage where you cease being a gambler and begin the work of a professional. It is less exciting. It is often boring. It is the most crucial stage of all. After I left the bucket shops, I came to New York to trade on a legitimate exchange. The game was different. The execution was slower. The tape, which we now call the live data feed, was delayed. My old methods failed me, and I lost my stake again. It was here I learned that a system is not enough. A system must be married to unbreakable discipline. This is where I developed my cardinal rules. I learned through great financial pain to always cut my losses at a predetermined point. A loss of 10% of my invested capital was the absolute limit. To hold on beyond that was to replace calculation with hope, and hope has no place in a speculator's ledger. It is a liability. I learned to use a time stop. If I bought a stock and it did not move as I anticipated within a short period, I would sell it. My capital was too precious to be tied up in a laggard. Inaction is a sign of weakness in a stock, a warning that the line of least resistance is not yet pointed upward. This stage is about defense. It is about building a fortress around your capital so that you can withstand the inevitable losing streaks. Anyone can get lucky once. Consistency is the mark of a professional. You achieve it not by having a secret indicator, but by having a non-negotiable set of rules for entry, exit, and risk. You wait patiently for your setup, what I call the pivot point, that critical price level where a stock is poised to make a major move. You do not trade when conditions are unclear. You sit in cash and you wait. The desire to always be in the market is one of an amateur's most expensive habits. In this stage, your profits will be modest. You are not trying to hit the home run. You are trying to consistently get on base. You are building the habits of a winner. You are proving to yourself and to the market that you can follow your plan, even when your emotions scream at you to do otherwise. This stage is a test of character. Can you take a loss without flinching? Can you sit on your hands for weeks, waiting for the one perfect opportunity? Can you follow your rules even after 5 consecutive losses? If you can, you will graduate. If you cannot, the market will mercilessly send you back to stage 1 to learn the lesson of survival all over again. The unyielding law of stage 2 is this: profitability is a byproduct of consistency, and consistency is a byproduct of discipline. Your focus must shift from the outcome of any single trade to the flawless execution of your system over a series of trades. You must forge your rules in the fire of your past mistakes and then treat them as sacred. Master your rules and you will begin to master your account. Forget the fortune. Focus on the form. The third and final stage is compounding. This is the promised land. It is the territory where fortunes are made, where a speculator can, in a single great campaign, make more money than a surgeon does in a lifetime. But you cannot enter this stage by force. You must be invited in by the market, and the market only extends this invitation to those who have mastered the first 2 stages. This stage is not about being right more often. It is about being right in a very big way. It is about having the courage and patience to capture the entirety of a major market move, what I called the big swing. I learned this lesson from an old trader, a man they called Old Turkey. People would ask him for a tip, and he would say, "Well, you know, it's a bull market." He had bought his stocks, knew he was right, and was content to sit on them. He wasn't shaken out by small corrections. He wasn't tempted to take a small, quick profit. He knew that the big money was not in the little wiggles, but in the great big move. He taught me that it never was my thinking that made the big money for me. It was always my sitting tight. This stage requires the speculator to reverse his instincts. In the first 2 stages, you learn to be a nimble, defensive fighter, quick to cut a loss. In the third, you must become a patient general, willing to hold a winning position for months, even years. This is where you employ the art of pyramiding. You do not take your full position at once. You begin with a probe, a test position. If the market moves against you, you sell it for a small loss and the experiment is over. But if it moves in your favor, you have confirmation. The market itself is telling you that your judgment is correct. Now you add to your position. You add again as it continues to move in your favor, raising your stop-loss each time. You are financing your growing position not with your original capital, but with your paper profits. You are using the market's money to build a massive line. This is how I made millions in cotton, in wheat, and in my short positions during the great panics of 1907 and 1929. I waited for the line of least resistance to declare itself. I took a position, and when the tape confirmed I was right, I pressed my advantage with all my conviction. This stage is the most psychologically demanding of all. It is one thing to have the discipline to cut a $1,000 loss. It is another thing entirely to have the courage to watch a $1 million paper profit shrink to $800,000 during a normal correction and not sell. This is the courage that is paid for by the lessons of the first two stages. You cannot buy it. You must earn it. The supreme law of stage 3 is this: the great fortunes are made not in the nimble buying and selling, but in the patient waiting. When the market has proven you correct in a monumental way, your job is to have the courage to sit tight and ride the trend until the very end. Do not fear giving back some paper profits in a minor reaction. The man who tries to catch every wiggle will miss the entire move. When the rare, perfect opportunity arrives, you must abandon the mindset of a soldier and adopt the mindset of an empire builder. Now, you must look at yourself not as you wish to be, but as you are. Examine your trading ledger and your state of mind. Are you frequently losing your stake, blowing up accounts and starting over? You are in stage 1. Forget about profits. Your only job is to learn the rules and protect your capital. Are you making small profits but then giving them all back in 1 or 2 bad trades? Are you inconsistent, sometimes following your rules and sometimes succumbing to emotion? You are in stage 2. Your job is not to find a new strategy, but to find the discipline to follow the one you have. Build your rules, master your emotions, and forge consistency. Or have you achieved consistency? Do you cut your losses without hesitation? Do you follow your plan? But do you find yourself taking profits too soon, missing the big moves that could truly grow your account? You are on the precipice of stage 3. Your final lesson is to learn courage. The courage to hold a winner. The courage to press your bet when you are right. Do not make the fatal error of trying to operate in a stage for which you are not prepared. A man in stage 1 who tries to pyramid a position will not make a fortune. He will simply go broke faster. A man in stage 3 who gets scared and snatches a small profit is betraying his own hard-won skill. Each stage has its own curriculum, its own test. Be honest about where you are. Master the lessons of your current stage, and the market itself will promote you to the next. Do not rush the process, for the market has all the time in the world, and you have only as much capital as you can protect.